Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. My name is Hal Roth, and I'm the director of the Contemplative Studies program here at Brown. And on behalf of all of us in Contemplative Studies, I would like to formally welcome you to this very proud day for each and every one of you as family members, each and every one of you as graduates, and each and every one of our faculty and colleagues here, and for our program in Contemplative Studies. We will be moving through a program relatively quickly, which will end in handing out diplomas to our graduating students. We'll try to be on time and crisp in doing this, because I will have to leave immediately afterwards to witness my son receive his Bachelor of Arts in History. I will be, however, coming immediately back here to continue with the reception as quickly as possible afterwards. So if I don't get a chance to see you and talk to you before I leave, then I will be back to talk to you afterwards. So it's really been an incredible year for us, for all of us in this room. Certainly we've seen lots of political changes in this country that are really unprecedented, but I'll confine my comments to what has happened in Contemplative Studies this year. And pardon me, my voice is a little bit distorted. I've had a cold for a while. And so hopefully my voice will last and won't terminate before my comments, although make things more quick, I suppose. So this year in Contemplative Studies, we hosted a record series of lectures and workshops. We had 8 events this fall, including lectures by prominent neuroscientist Tanya Singer, historian David McMahon, and the first part of our year-long series, Mindfulness, Science, and Society. We sent in November 14 of our students to the 3rd International Symposium on Contemplative Studies in San Diego, an event attended by over 1,200 people, for which I had the honor of serving as co-chair. We organized 8 more events this spring that featured lectures and workshops by Jon Kabat-Zinn, the man who founded mindfulness-based stress reduction, and probably the person single most responsible for bringing the term mindfulness into discussion in the culture. And also Rhonda McGee, a leading advocate for the use of mindfulness and compassion practices to target very, very important and pressing issues of race and ethnicity and diversity in this country. We also brought 12 of our students on a remarkable Brown-sponsored trip to live in Zen temples in Japan in January. And I want to stop at this point and say that none of this could have been done without the immense talents and sense of humor of our program coordinator and my partner in crime, Ann Hireman-Hart. And of course, also this year, on a much sadder note, we lost a very deeply appreciated and much mourned colleague, Dr. Kathy Kerr, about whom I will have more to say later. So some of you are here and you've talked to your children about majoring and concentrating in contemplative studies, but may not know exactly what it is. So I'd like to take a few words, a few moments to talk about it. So your children are today graduating in a very important new academic field that we've helped to pioneer here at Brown. The Contemplative Studies concentration, approved here a mere 2 years ago, now has 24 concentrators. And your children are in the second graduating cohort. We began this field almost 15 years ago, talk about playing the long game, with a faculty forum on cross-cultural approaches to what was then called contemplative mind. A mind, a consciousness that is attentively focused, fully aware of what it is experiencing internally and externally, a mind that is well integrated into the body, a mind that is often intuitive and insightful. It has been our contention that there are a variety of methods and practices that lead to such distinctive states of mind. They're both experienced spontaneously and unreflectively in moments of deep absorption, and they are deliberately cultivated within the world's great wisdom traditions. These experiences, while different in effects, are not fundamentally distinct from one another in kind. Rather, they occur on a spectrum, a continuum, from the total absorption in an activity, such as playing a game of chess or a sport like lacrosse, or baseball, or even rugby, to the deeply transformative experiences of lifelong yogis in samadhi, Jewish mystics in devakut, or Zen monks in moments of satori. They're all inherent in our potential as human beings, a significant part of our natures that can yield greater physical and mental health and pro-social experiences of compassionate and authentic engagement with the world. Such contemplative experiences, because of their potential to transform individual lives and contribute significantly to the greater social good, are worthy, we think, of special studies in their own field. And that's what we've attempted to do in establishing contemplative studies as its own unique academic area. When we started out, actually in the 2002-2003 academic year, and I remember one day looking around the room at one of our early meetings at this very motley group of colleagues. We're really a band of misfits, all on the progressive fringes of our fields, and certainly more at home in our temporary associations with one another than in our home departments. We began with advising independent concentrators. Our first student was Kate McSwain, who graduated in 2005. We were eventually able to make use of existing opportunities at Brown to advise 15 other independent concentrators. What we were able to forge is what I liked for many years to call a guerrilla concentration. Of course, we lost that status when our concentration was officially accepted 2 years ago. Actually, it's now 3 years ago. End of 2014, 2013-14 academic year, and we accepted our first concentrator in September of that year. But this, loss of the ability to call ourselves a guerrilla concentration was more than compensated for by the much greater ease that students had in joining us. The scientific interest in contemplative states and traits developed, and more researchers delved into consciousness. We slowly but surely expanded our group of core faculty. And psychologist Willoughby Britton, who eventually created the Lab for Clinical and Affective Neuroscience, joined us in 2006 and is now working with religious studies scholar Jared Lindahl on a phenomenology of contemplative experiences and many other works. And I'd actually like to introduce both Willoughby and Jared and ask you to both stand up. The late Catherine Kerr, a neuroscientist who also had a history PhD, joined us in 2010 and led the Mind-Body Lab for neuroscientific research into traditional Chinese practices of Qigong and Tai Chi. Her loss is very keenly felt by all of us, but her work is carried on by two of our recent graduates who were independent concentrators in contemplative studies, and I'd like to introduce them and ask them to stand up. Chloe Zimmerman and Juan Santoyo. Also, Eric Lautz, who may join us a little later, who's in the School of Public Health. He's an epidemiologist. He does longitudinal studies on the effects of mindfulness on hypertension treatments. He came on board in 2014. So, together with a group of humanists in philosophy, religious studies, history, and in the social sciences, sociology and anthropology, and a few artists and theater arts, we've come together to create a very rich curriculum of course offerings that not only includes these different academic disciplines, but it also integrates them in a distinctive approach that combines the traditional third-person study that we do throughout the academy, that at a distance study, with innovative, critical, first-person, direct experiential approaches. Contemplative studies begins with a vision that science, the humanities, and the creative arts do not have to be, borrowing the words of the late famous evolutionary biologist Stephen Jay Gould, the non-overlapping magisteria that they've been conceived to be in the academy in the 20th and early 21st centuries. They are instead mutually complementary modes of investigation into the full range of phenomena we experience in our lives. In contemplative studies, we focus on consciousness as it is embodied and as it is enacted in concert with many and varied contexts of an environment that we co-create. Simultaneously, environment and individual arise together and can best be studied by a method that combines third-person modes of knowledge, such as in the brain sciences, religious studies, and philosophy, with critical first-person experiential modes of investigation. In addition, in contemplative studies, we recognize the importance of second-person, unself-conscious, intersubjective experiences, and the no-person spontaneous synthesis of all these elements into the unified whole of our individual and collective experience. Each of you daughters and sons has had to meet a demanding concentration in either the sciences track or the humanities track that includes a set of core courses that requires the study of courses from the other track. But as well, each of them has brought something unique into our program, their particular set of life experiences in which all of you, quite obviously, have played very significant parts. Through their courses of study here, they have each forged distinctive concentrations that we hope have given them not just a knowledge base with which to enter specific fields of endeavor as they leave here, but an experiential grounding that will allow them to weather the various challenges that they will face throughout their lives with equanimity and resilience, and sensibilities that I'm sure will allow them to really make a difference in this world. In going out into the world with this foundation, they will be following in the footsteps of many of our previous concentrators. At our 10th anniversary, a year and a half ago, a group of them returned, and we found that they've already gotten involved in a fascinating range of professions: clinical psychology, neuroscience, education, peace studies, community organizing, working with disadvantaged youth, journalism, prison reform, nursing, medicine, osteopathy, philosophy of education, music teaching, and tech startups. Even one of them has been an organizer for Burning Man. In short, our graduates have gone into a full range of careers in service to society in which the contemplative practices and perspectives that they've mastered during their time here have been serving them well. Exemplifying these important contemplative perspectives in service to the larger world is one of our graduates from last year, whom I'm very proud to introduce, who will say a few words about life as a contemplative studies graduate. Please join me in welcoming Carly Margolis of the Mind and Life.
Is this okay? Can everyone hear me? Thanks. Yes. Thank you. Well, I'm vastly underqualified to speak to you all. I just when Hal asked me to do this, I was picturing each of you graduates who I obviously was so lucky to study beside and think with while I was here, and just what could I possibly contribute, So really honor all of you, and I'm so deeply happy that you made it through because there's that relief aspect, right? Yeah, so cheers to you. I was asked to speak a bit about what I'm up to after graduating in contemplative studies. Work for, as Hal said, the Minded Life Institute, which really exists to support and advance this field of contemplative studies. It was founded through the Buddhism science dialogue that His Holiness the Dalai Lama seeks to promote, but several years into the organization's existence, it became clear that this could be an academic discipline unto itself and not simply be a conversation between these two traditions of Western science and Tibetan Buddhism. So it's really kind of amazing to work directly in the legacy of this, the way that this discipline formed. It almost couldn't be more consistent with what I studied in undergrad, what I'm doing right now. But I just have to emphasize that the content is not really what's important, I don't think, about what I've taken forth from this concentration. It's much more about what Hal was speaking about qualities of mind, about methods, practices that can help us to hold multiple epistemologies, multiple worldviews at the same time, that will have helped me in my job. It's not because I've read papers about the cognitive neuroscience and meditation, it's like, that's the content distinction. It's really being able to see my biases, what makes me, my cultural context, and then try to just have an open stance to other points and try to work together. This has been particularly relevant because when I came on to Mind and Life a year ago, they asked me to put on 2 public meetings with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, one in Tel Aviv and one in Gaborone, Botswana. So this was pretty jarring to arrive and have to put on these large international meetings, but this is where I was able to apply skills of just sort of being present to people all over the world who I had to find a way to build a meeting together with. So these sorts of things, it just shows that whatever you're driven to do, across disciplines, various types of work, it's much more about the methods that you've all practiced in than the actual science, academic discipline. I remember being here and thinking, I was caught in thinking about it as an academic discipline, how can I be, Kathy seemed to epitomize this. But you don't have to get a PhD and suddenly train yourself in another field to be able to bring this work forth in whatever you feel most driven to do. I think that these qualities of mind that Hal referenced, sort of, whether it's practice of prosociality or sort of just being quiet, being with yourself, basic self-awareness. These are the things that are going to really serve you as you enter a totally different context and move forward. So I'm really excited to see what you all do with it, and I just extend my fullest congratulations for finishing your degrees in contemplative studies.
Thank you very much, Carly. Before we award the diplomas, we have 2 special prizes I'd like to talk a little bit about and award them. So our first prize is for the Outstanding Honors Thesis in Contemplative Studies. It's established in the name of the late Francisco Varela, one of the true pioneers of our field of contemplative studies. A brilliant Chilean biologist and neuroscientist, Cisco is the first author of one of the most important books in our new field, The Embodied Mind. And he was a co-founder of the Mind and Life Institute. He's had a major influence on supporting the advancement of the scientific study of contemplative practices. His particular insight as well was to demonstrate that the range of phenomena that we group under the rubric of contemplative experiences can best be studied by a combination of third-person scientific and philosophical perspectives derived from cognitive neurosciences and phenomenology, and with first-person perspectives of skilled meditation practitioners. Hence, the field of neurophenomenology was born. Its distinctive synthesis of third-person and first-person perspectives are the foundation of our unique field that uses integrative contemplative pedagogy. And for these reasons, we feel it fitting to name a prize for outstanding work by on a senior honors thesis in the name of Francisco Varela. And it gives me great pleasure to award the Varela Prize for the outstanding senior thesis to Ana Lilia Alejandra Lara. This year, we are inaugurating a prize for the outstanding semester-long capstone paper in contemplative studies in the name of our late colleague, Kathy Kerr. Kathy was a true inspiration for all of us, but especially to the students that she mentored. She was a truly rare person, trained first with a PhD in history at Johns Hopkins, who completely retooled her career to become a distinguished award-winning neuroscientist. Kathy really thought outside the box, and she lived outside the box, living by the alternative healing methods that she studied. She could equally communicate to scientists and to humanists, and has broken new ground with her embodied neuroscientific research on traditional Chinese medical theories and methods. It gives me great pleasure to award the first Kathy Kerr Prize for Outstanding Senior Capstone Project to Blake Alexander Mendel. Well, we've come time to hand out our diplomas. And to join me in doing this, I would like to introduce a graduate of the class of 1987 and mindfulness teacher and coach, Sarah Stewart. So, graduates, as I read your name, please come forward to receive your degree from Sarah. So, Henry Giles Tripetta Langton. Gloria Ime Estienne. Casey Marie Fisher. Misbah Rasul Durrani. Blake Alexander Mandel. Sydney Khan. This is an award with honors in contemplative studies, Ana Lilia Alejandra Lara. And finally, and this is also an award with honors in contemplative studies and a special diploma in the Engaged Scholars Program, Stephanie Lynn Kaufman. congratulations to all the graduates. And please, let's open some champagne, and please join me in a toast to all our graduating seniors. So congratulations to the graduates.